Hey everyone, welcome to DokusCore. My name is Dokus, and today we're going to talk about the update 0.6.3. Before we do so, a couple small mentions, a patch to 0.6.2. On the spawner plugin, we added extra routes in the config so that more routes are available for players that spawn. Because when two players spawn at the same time, they take the same route and everybody can see each other. You're not instancing or anything. The stagecoaches will spawn on top of each other, creating a big mess. So we have added in multiple routes so that if route A is in use, route A cannot be used for the second person, and it will revert to the second route in the second entry into the list. Also, when you start, you get 2 or 3 scratch cards into your inventory. The icon didn't show up and it didn't work because I called them scratch cards with the S instead of just scratch card, but that has been fixed too. We done a small fix to the skin camera, you probably won't notice it, and we also cropped the pictures to a smaller version. They have the same quality, they're just cropped so they take less of a size. And last but not least, we have added an extra Easter egg to the world edit map. And it's made by Kimmy in our Discord. So thank you, Kimmy, for your wonderful Y map. We'll spoil one thing: it's for natives. You can find it on the map, but it's not located as a marker on your world map. So those were the patches for 0.6.2. Now let's get over to 0.6.3. In the core config of DokusCore itself, the core menu was actually called settings menu. To avoid confusion, I have now recalled this to core menu also. The boat dialog config had some missing entries and I have restored that one. We have also added some extra dialogue entries for the spawner plugin, so the stagecoach will say a couple different things. The config for metabolism has been changed for burping and farting of your character. I have increased the interval from 60 seconds to 5 minutes. Each 5 minutes there is a dice roll, and if it rolls on the right number, it does a burp or a fart. It was occurring too much, and I have increased this number from 1 minute to 5 minutes. Normally, when you were teleporting, you would get a cancel and a redo of an undo option, so you would go back to the last known position. It's still there, but it's not on the Alt key anymore. We use now the left Alt key to open the core menu instead of the Tab key. So the cancelling of the teleport, what is now not left Alt anymore, it's the X key. The option that users have to fix their own client language has been restored, and it's working again, at least for the plugins that it's built in. Not all plugins have this built in yet. We're basically first making the plugins, and after we have confirmed that the plugins are all working, we have created all the dialogues that we want to have, then we're going to switch it over to this language feature. So not all plugins have this language feature, but those that have it, you are able to switch the language again. The Danish language file has been remade by Muddy30, so thank you for that, and he has corrected the grammar in it. I changed the API call for the boats, how you fetch boats from the ID to the name itself. That would give you the possibility to just delete that boat, otherwise the API would delete all the boats of the characters under the same Steam ID. Further, I have cleaned up the HTML file from DokusCore itself, and I have added a new song into the core called Outlaws. That song you will now also hear whenever you are in the cutscene when creating a new character. As previously explained in the video 0.6.2, we have added an AFK timer. So if you are within the clothing store menu and you are not changing the sliders, and you're not doing that for 60 seconds, the menu will close, you will get reverted back to your clothing that you had before you entered in the menu, and the NPC will go back to the desk. This is to prevent people going AFK while they're in the menu and others being unable to use the menu because the NPC is helping you. I also made some changes in the way that you walk with the NPC and when the screen fades back in when you go into the character menu. The fade in comes a little later because we are resetting the camera position to the middle of your character. Normally when the menu popped up and you wanted to change the camera, at first flick it went back to the middle, and then you would be able to change it. We are resetting the focus on the camera to the middle of your character, and then whenever you use the buttons, it does not have this glitch. I also have removed the function that whenever you created a new character, the clothing store NPC would immediately react to you whenever you walked into the store the first time. Before, the NPC would react to you and immediately you would be walked into the clothing menu. This can have two problems. First, with the multiple stores that we have added on the map, not all the radiuses are the same, so we have to make it different for each store, what's gonna be a hassle. So we just took it out. People can just walk up to the desk themselves and then activate the menu. Though walking from the stagecoach to the clothing store is still cinematic. The second problem is that if somebody is already using the store, we just have to give you the error message of that the NPC is busy. It could keep you in the cutscene that we don't want to. Also, the radiuses of the desk between the entrances of the door and the desk, they differ in different cities. So you would walk up to the desk to close, and then the menu would pop up giving you the options on what you can do with that store, while at the same time also giving you the messages for the auto interaction. So we just have taken out the auto interaction, and you just interact with the desk yourself, with the NPC yourself, to change your clothing. I have also added a extra toggle inside the config of the stores to toggle if the welcome messages and the goodbye messages that you get when you enter or leave the store, if they display or not. Some clothing stores, for example the one in Valentine, we put outside in the open on the market, and if you come too close to this character, it will automatically give you this welcome to my store message, but this guy is standing at a market, so you don't want to have that message displayed. So for that NPC you can turn it off. You can choose now yourself what NPC will and will not give you the welcome and goodbye messages for entering and leaving the store. The next issue I actually addressed in the video 6.2, but it's actually fixed only in 6.3. The clothing is now loading 3 seconds after the skin started loading, to give it some extra room. I first had it at 250 milliseconds, but that was way too fast, and for other people and servers the skin would load but not the clothing after. So I have done now a 3-second wait timer so that your clothing does load, so that the skin has time to load for your clothing to load after that. Last but not least, for the clothing menu, people reported back to me that the amount of conversations that the NPC was making to you on the types of clothing that you were picking was too much. This was because every time you selected something in the slider bars, you roll the dice, and the dice was from 0 to 10, and then if it was 5, if I'm right, the NPC will comment on the clothing piece that you have selected. If you click very fast, of course, you will be queuing up all these messages, and they will come one after another. So eventually, yes, that can become a little bit too much. What we have done now is that every X seconds, the dice is rolled, and then you can set the upper boundary. So if you, for example, set it to 20, then we always split the number in half, and then the dice is rolled, and if that number rolls at that number, so if you set 20, it's 10. If the dice rolls 10, then the NPC will say something to your character, yes or not. So it's not anymore been done by clicking on the buttons. It's now actually on a timer. So you will see sometimes more, sometimes less messages, but sometimes maybe you won't even get a message at all. that is basically it for the clothing store. Now let's move on to the core menu. So for the core menu, first of all, normally you would open the core menu via the tab key. This has been changed. If you want to open the menu, you now hit the left Alt key. This menu will pop up. You see admin menu. This you will only get if you have the admin or owner status in the database. You will see open menu and inventory. If I hold shift, I will now open my inventory. Also notice this message right here, but I'll come to you with that in a moment. So let's open the normal menu. This is the menu that you're used to. Though keep in mind that now every button has a letter attached to it. So I can control this whole menu with my keyboard. If we want to open the information menu, I just hit Q on my keyboard. If we want to get the Discord link, I hit Q again. If I want to go a menu back, I hit Z. If I want to go to the settings menu, I click on E. If I want to change language, it's going to be Q again. Let's say Italian, I hit E on the keyboard. As you can see, my mouse is here. Normally, if I would click on the buttons, they would be turning green. So let's say Q again, and I go back to English. I do Z on the keyboard to go back, Z again to go back. We can do A for music, and so on. So the whole menu is now controlled with your keys. And muscle memory can bring you very fast in this, make you very fast in using this menu. I can give you a quick example on this. I am an admin, so I can now create a marker. Let's say I create one here. And if I want to go to that marker, you can do in the chat, of course, /tpm, what the other frames you could do, but normally you have to hold tab and then click through the menu. What you can do now is tap Alt, hold G, and then QQ. And that will bring you immediately to the spot that you have chosen. So the menu is quite easy to use now. It's more concentrated on the keys. You can still use the mouse, but yeah, key control. Now to show you quickly how it would look for users, if I switch to the database for a moment and I go to the characters tab, I can set myself back to user. And if I go back into RedM and then hit Alt again, you will see I just see open menu and inventory. If we go back to the database and I set myself back to owner and go back to RedM, and I just reopen this menu, suddenly I have the admin button again. So that is the way we check now if you are an admin or not. Admins can enter that menu, non-admins won't even see the button. Now for the inventory itself, so I hit Alt again and I hold Shift. When I am in this inventory, of course you can click the item and then you had these use, split, give and drop buttons. Normally you just click on the item and then you click on use. The only thing you now have to do, because these are letter assigns too. So if I just click on the item, I select it and I hit E on the keyboard, I immediately am able to use it. Oh, that's the wrong menu. So let's open the menu again. Click on it, click E, and you can scratch your car. If you want to drop something, you can click on the item and hit the D key on the keyboard. This will immediately drop it on the ground. If you want to say, I want to drop more than one, because now we just dropped one coffee, you can actually now use the keys, the number keys on your keyboard to change the value in this box right here. So if I select the coffee and I want to say I want to drop 4 coffee, I hit the 4 key and now you see that there is 4 in there. I can set it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, but past 9 it doesn't go. So if you want to go past 9, you do have to type it in there, but the keys 1 to 9 are supported. So let's say I want to drop 4 coffee, I do 4, I hit D, and then 5 coffee should be now on the ground, and there you go. Also, I fixed that the bar to open the box would disappear the moment you pick up the item, because if you then would click E very fast again, you would be able to pick up the item twice. So that has been fixed too. You can't duplicate items anymore using that way. That is pretty much it for the inventory. The pointing script that we inserted into the game that was using the L key, we have removed because we need those keys for other functions. You can now just open the chat, say /point, and it will then start pointing. Keep in mind, it only has 4 directions that it can point at. It is not like 5M, where you can just have your arm stick out and just walk around. It actually needs a direction to point at. So, and we have 4 directions right now. Maybe we can make it later so that it points into into more directions, but for now it does it like this. As you can see, it's not also actually pointing, it's simulating that it's holding a gun. You can see here, you see that he is curling his finger. He's actually pointing a gun, but without the gun. So this is basically simulated pointing, not really pointing, but you can use it if you want to. Next up on the list, we have a new map entry. What is the Lakota native camp? I also briefly explained that in the last video, but this is made by Kimmy in our Discord, so thank you Kimmy for that. And yeah, he gave it to us to use, so thank you for that, and you guys can now use this in order to enhance your native gameplay. A couple other small mentions. The character selection screen, whenever you chose your character, you as a person would spawn into the map, but the NPC replicating your character would still be at the camp. So you could actually walk up to him and you would see yourself sitting at the camp. That is though instance, so everybody would only see their own characters, but I did though fix that. So your character is now, your NPC that reflects you is now correctly deleted. The spawner script, we have added some new cutscene routes to Blackwater and Valentine, because we have added stores, clothing stores also to Blackwater and Valentine. So you can now choose where you want to spawn. By default in the config, we did not add in a default spawn position, so the box name is empty, meaning that it just takes Valentine, Blackwater or Saint Denis. So it will just choose one of them. And for the very last thing, I also mentioned this in the last video, but it's actually a fix for version 6.3. If I go to RedM, then as I said before, we have fixed the Discord button, and we also have fixed the updates and guidelines button. So if I would go into the core menu, hit the information menu, and then I want to have updates and guidelines, it still does this weird pirouette. I don't know why. Sometimes it does it once, sometimes it does it twice, but now you will have a cinematic view kick in. It will stay here for a couple seconds, he will do an animation, and then the menu kicks in. From here you can watch some update videos directly in game, so basically the videos that you are watching now, you can watch them directly in game. You can also go to the update page and then look at the text version of the updates. The animation stays until you click on exit. Before he would stop the animation at 30 seconds, and now if you hit exit, the animation stops, and once that is done, also the cinematic view stops. The weird pirouette thing that he does, I am not sure why he's doing that. He should just grab his new newspaper. It could be that we need to use a different animation, but sometimes it does it once, sometimes it does it twice, so it is a little random. We're looking at it, don't see it as pretty much as critical right now, but know it's there, and we know it's there, and it will be fixed in a future version. That pretty much wraps it up for version 0.6.3. I hope you guys liked the update. If you do, and this video helped you a lot explaining it, please thumb up the video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. With 100 subscribers we get a custom YouTube URL. If you want to support us in different ways, you can do by, for example, boosting our Discord, but the most of all, you would help us if you would report bugs to us. And if you do, please make sure that you are aware of the bugs that are already reported. Please make sure you see these videos so that you know which bugs we already know of, and if you then do report a bug, try to report that as detailed as possible, because we have to find the bug and to replicate it in order to fix it. And if we don't get enough details, it's going to be a hard time sometimes for us to find it. So I hope you guys liked the update. Enjoy your server, and until the next video.